Welcome to Vaulting by Numbers. My name is Brian Farrimond. This presentation is about building vaults like this in less than 20 minutes. First, we describe our methodology, and then we apply it to vaults. If you're interested in what we are doing or know somebody who would be, then please let us know. I start with a personal journey. In the beginning, Robina and I wrote a conference paper on visualizing a building changing over time. My only way to create a model was by writing a VRML file. It took me about an hour. Now, we decided that this was no way to build a model. There are alternative ways out of the problem. Robina and many others took the 3D Studio Max route. I took the dark side, became a programmer. And the first program that we wrote, Cathedral Builder, our first parametric modeling program. In 3D Studio Max, the user uses geometric primitives, cylinders, boxes, cones, etc. to create models. In our case, the software uses nave, transept, tower parameters to determine which primitives to use and their sizes and positions. We're letting the software decide. We click on components in the 3D view and its attributes are revealed on the left. For the nave, the parameters are length, breadth, apex height, side height. Early users of our software. We teach Cathedral Builder regularly in 2 local schools. Here's me teaching it, and here's the children getting on with it. Since 2008, we've been doing this, and we do it annually before the Year 5 York Minster trip. As a result, the children are able to tell the guides in York Minster the names of the parts of the building. The children learn the names of the parts and how the parts fit together. Then the children do this. First, the spine of the church, nave, crossing tower, chancel. Then we add the transepts to the crossing tower. And then we add a tower section to the tower. And then we convert it to an octagonal spire and change its height. And we have noticed that all children want to build spires. Finally, we add the side aisles. Just do one here. Now, by lunchtime, children are able to do this. And they're able to create tours of the churches. So the children identify a path and then follow it. Now, normally the children like to put the path all the way around the church before they come inside. This is the short version. And the children love painting the walls, as you can see at the far end. Now we go beyond churches. We call this software Thing Builder. Steamships, sailing ships, steam locomotives, Liverpool docks. Now, back at St. Anne's Primary School, Year 6 and their teachers wanted to build steam locomotives. So they learned the terminology and grammar of steam locomotives. The children are shown how to measure simplified engineering drawings like this. They make half a dozen of the measurements to show they've got the idea. Then we give them the rest of the measurements because time is constrained in the primary school. The children use the measurements to build the locomotives in Thing Builder. And here we are. Note that we also work with children in Berska, which is the next town north of Ormskirk. The children learn very quickly to work the component tree, which is at the top left. It reinforces knowledge of the names of the things and the grammar. They soon pick up editing the attributes at the bottom left. Here, the running plate is selected, that's the blue thing on the locomotive, and they're able to change attributes such as the length, the height, and the width, and so on. The locomotive models are dynamic, and children learn how to drive them. The models can be placed in a 3D world and driven between Berska and Ormskirk. We then take the children to Edgehill University. There they're able to run their locomotives in a computer-augmented virtual environment, a cave. That's me on the right, just keeping out of the way. And in this particular view, the children's locomotive is approaching Berska Junction Station. Our ambition, every 11-year-old child should know how to build and drive a steam locomotive, and why not? Now, looking now at the wider world beyond primary school. We've been working with the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway Society, a heritage organisation researching the history of the UK railway company that existed 1847 to 1923. It's a very active society with about 1,000 members. And they have been providing us with specialist advice. And with the help of that advice, we're able to create models such as these. Coaches, signal box. And we've also been working on past worlds, which are under development in collaboration with the LYR Society, a dynamic 3D window into the past. And we do wonder if we could create a pre-Reformation England past world. Please contact us if you're interested in that idea. Now, since June 2020, we have been working on Cathedral Builder. So the journey now brings us to cathedrals and their vaults. It's the same approach, same principle as the locomotives. This view has the west end made invisible so we can see inside the cathedral. We also have 2D views as an alternative way to pick components, because the component tree is getting too long. Cathedrals are much bigger than locomotives. We would welcome collaboration in improving this interface. These are the kind of things that we did before becoming aware of the work on vaults by the Tracing the Past research group. And just to confirm, a quick reminder of the interface: component tree top left, and the selected components parameters bottom left, with a 2D view alternative. Now, please note the vault component hierarchy. For example, the respond are subcomponents, capital, shaft, base. And this vault has specifications for transverse, diagonal, and wall ribs. The vault parameters, apex height above springing point, etc., are available when the vault is selected. Now, the inspiration, why am I in particular turned on to vaults? Well, I was first turned on to them when I saw this in 1978. This is the point in a normal presentation when I would turn to the audience and ask, where is that? With Zoom, not possible, but I'll just tell you the answer. Saint-Ouen Abbey in Rouen. And we'll use this as an example. So we shall now build the Santa Juan nave using the 2D drawing that you saw in that previous slide. A cathedral starts with a single bay. We use a registered image of the elevation to get bay height and length. We add the triforium and clerestory sections. Then we add an arch, and we modify the arch parameters using the image. And back in the 3D view, we add a texture to the arcade outside and inside. We complete the triforium and clerestory in the same way. And we make the base symmetrical, left and right the same. And finally, we copy and paste 7 more bays. Now, building a vault inside that nave. We start again with a single bay. We add the vault. In the 2D view, we get the vault height above the floor, get the apex height. In the 3D view, we texture the vault panels. We select white brick and increase the size of the bricks. And now we texture the wall rib. And we texture the transverse ribs and the diagonal ribs. Finally, we add the response shafts, and by default, they reach down to the floor. And then we're ready to copy and paste bays. So there we get the vaulted nave of Santa Juan Abbey. We now show adding extra ribs. We add a longitudinal ridge rib, and then we add transverse ridge ribs, and we add a transverse secondary rib, and we adjust the percentage distance of the end along the transverse ridge. We're doing it manually here. With methods such as StarCut, we could do it automatically, we believe. We end up with something like this if we carry on. Next, we show how the geometry can be modified. We select the first bay in 2D. We increase its length to 9 meters. We select the second bay in 2D. And to compensate, we reduce its length to 3 meters. Now we can undo those edits. And then we'll make bays sexpartite. So we choose the vault type sexpartite. Now there is a problem here. The diagonal ribs vanish near the crossing point. The issue is that we're using arc of circle geometry, and it's a limitation here that we solve by raising the height of the vault apex from 7 meters to 8 meters. And there we have it, sexpartite vaults. A word about bosses. Our bosses are currently cylinders with images on the bottom surface. Images can be rotated. New images can be added to the designated folder. Now, in fact, we can add images to designated folders for all types of texture, walls, floors, etc. And they will be automatically appearing in the texture lists if the cathedral model is reloaded. This is how we save a model as an XML text file. XML means it's labeled, structured, readable data, the text file. In principle, Cathedral Builder can build the model from a handwritten text file, as long as it's in the correct XML format. Now, more practically speaking, a translator app could be straightforward to write that would translate another description into our XML format. In principle, any structured textual description could be visualized in this way. And visualization would enable descriptions to be verified by inspection of the 3D model. But we don't know if these exist. Do they exist? We would like to know if you could help us find them. The Cathedral Builder itself is a combination of the definition of a cathedral grammar and Java code to create the geometry. Now here is a more formal representation of the definition of the grammar for vaults. Vault types are shown top right. Vault subcomponents are shown below. Two types of vaults so far we've got. If anyone wants to take this further, then please get in touch. The grammar is actually expressed in XML documents. Here we see the two vault types that we've so far implemented. Further types will be added here. The vault components, extra ones, will be added here. Now the software uses 3D coordinate geometry and it generates VRML files and OBJ files. In writing the program, we have made assumptions where the historical situation is unknown to us, and there are lots of unknowns for us. We shall look at the ambulatory vault shown here as an example. In this plan view, the dashed line, we assume the peaks of the diagonal and transverse ribs lie on that dashed line. We would welcome being corrected so we can adjust our geometry. We're assuming that A and D are on the same level. A and D are the springing points and H is the peak. We assume that the ribs leave A and D vertically. And we're assuming that AH is an arc of a circle, the left-hand side, and we're assuming that DH, the right-hand side, is a quarter of an ellipse. Advice on better assumptions will be gratefully accepted. Rib cross-sections. We only use rectangular cross-sections so far. With others, suggestions gratefully received. But with that rectangular cross-section and textures, we can get some quite realistic effects. These are all rectangular geometry. And back to Saint Ouen. And as an aside, there are no traceries in our windows. What you're seeing there are just JPEG images in the window spaces. Is there a project out there digitizing tracery? If so, please let us know. Conclusions. We believe that we have potentially a powerful modeling environment for vaults. The creation of XML documentation of vaults is embedded in the building method. If you have a use for Cathedral Builder in heritage, research, pedagogy, contact us. Our tools are free. Our ambition, unsurprisingly, every 11-year-old child should know how to build a cathedral. And here is the contact information. We have a website, tempmod.com, while Edgehill website is still under development. That should be sorted out in September, at which point our main website will be within the Edgehill University website. A YouTube video shows the image you can see there being built in 20 minutes at a slow pace. And those are our contact details if you wish to collaborate or make use of our software in your research, work, or pedagogy. That's the end. Thank you.